Hey Hope Warriors, welcome to day 3 of our mini academy. Today we're going to be talking about the first lie in Rachel Hollis's book Girl Wash Your Face, which is something else will make me happy. And I hope you're following along with us and you started your journaling, and then maybe yesterday you tried your challenging your lies exercise, and maybe this was one of your lies. And if it wasn't, I feel like this isn't one that maybe pops up right away for us, but we definitely all have a form of this lie, okay? We all want something that we don't have, thinking it's gonna make us more happy. And especially, I think, in the US, because we're constantly being marketed to, right? We're constantly being told, you need this, you need that, you need to look this way, whatever. People are always, giving us advice on how to be happy, when in reality, the person that knows how to make what makes you happy the best is you. And unfortunately, it's really hard to tap into that and to know what that is because of all the noise. And I actually talk about this a lot. I'm a yoga teacher, and one of my biggest goals when I teach yoga is to help people quiet the noise. And the noise is, yes, it is media, it is people trying to market to you to sell, what makes them happy, and maybe it will, add value to your life. But a lot of the noise too is our thoughts and our the lies that we're telling ourselves and our limiting beliefs. So, it's not only quieting what everybody else is telling us, but it's also quieting what we're telling ourselves that isn't serving us. So again, like I said, this is one that we all have in some way, shape, or form, that we think that something else is going to make us happy, something in our circumstances, something outside of what we already have. And Rachel in the book gives her example of just having a really, really tough childhood. She had a very traumatic experience of her brother taking his own life, and she actually found him, and it really affected her, obviously. Her parents got divorced, and just like, everybody has their baggage, right? Everybody has trauma in their life, whether it's big or small, it still affects you. And so anyway, her dealing with this was, she thought that once she was able to move out of that town where all these terrible things happen, that, she would be good, she would be happy. And that's what she was, working towards, looking forward to. And then finally, when she moved, she realized that she still wasn't happy, that the only thing that changed was really the view outside her window. So, the idea here is that your circumstances aren't going to make you happy. It's who you are that makes you happy. So I have kind of my own personal example, and I've been doing a lot of research or learning on the topic of like energies and how our realities are formed and how we attract certain things into our lives, and why we're drawn to certain things over other things. And in this book that I just listened to, a huge thing that she was talking about was how when we feel good, we tend to attract more into our life that makes us feel good. And so this has been like a really big focus of mine, is that like, I know I have a lot of goals. There's a lot of things that I want to attract into my life, whether it's achievements or, actual things. But I make sure that I don't focus too much on feeling like once I get there that I'll be happy. I just am always aware of my goals, but at the same time, I'm finding ways to be happy and feel good in my current circumstances so that I can attract those other things that I desire. So an example that I have is, I have a lot, because I tend to really always look to the future of like, what else I can achieve or what else I can get. And so I feel like this is a lesson that I'm constantly being taught, but a big one was that through many circumstances in my marriage, We went through a really tough time, and when we first got married, everything was on track, right? We bought a house, we had our first child, everything felt pretty good. And then things started to happen because we weren't dealing with things the way we should have been, and we found ourselves in a tiny apartment in Roselle. And don't get me wrong, we were so grateful for this apartment, because prior to that we were staying in my husband's parents' basement. So it was a huge upgrade, but I was constantly telling myself that I would be happier, or I wouldn't be happy until we could get our life back on track, and until we had a house again, our own house, our own space that we owned and could really make ours. Because being in the apartment, you're always renting, you can't fix it up the way you want, and obviously it's smaller than a house. There's many things that you can focus on the negative, right? And that's kind of what I was doing, and I was just really hungry to find a house and restart our lives, because we did so much work to heal our marriage and heal our family, that I thought that a house would be like the cherry on top. It would be like the last thing we need to officially restart our lives. And we started this process of selling our old house and getting a new house. And let me tell you guys, because I had this mindset of this new house will make me happy, it took forever, and it was so painful. Every single curveball that you can get thrown at you when you are selling and buying a house got thrown at us. Selling our house was so stressful. We had so many different contracts fall through, and it was just a hot mess, and it was so stressful. And then once we were able to finally sell that house, buying our current house, which I'm sitting in right now, was a process. If I were to even go through all the details with you, you'd be like, oh my God. And if you were talk to my realtors, talk to my lawyer, and they'll tell you yes, this was abnormal, the amount of blocks that we had to deal with in getting this house. And I fully take responsibility that my mindset about it was just not right. Yes, I was doing everything to find the house, get the people to help me get it, and I believed that it was going to be mine, but I wasn't feeling good with what I had, if that makes sense. So it's knowing what you want, but still being grateful for what you have, and knowing that you have everything that you need, and that next level, that house or whatever, would just be kind of an added bonus. So towards the end, when we had passed our closing date 3 different times, we were way past when we were supposed to close. Our whole apartment was packed up, and it just felt it was curveball after curveball of us not closing on the house. And I was so frustrated, and I really just started to feel bad, right? It's that block of attracting what you want in your life. I was feeling so bad about the situation. I felt like the seller was trying to screw us, and it just didn't feel right anymore, and I was drained. And I remember I was just I give up. I want this house, and I feel like it's our house, but I can't do this anymore. This is so stressful, and I just felt maybe this house wasn't meant to be ours. And I remember calling my lawyer and telling her, tell the seller, we're out. I'm sorry. We're just gonna take a break and maybe start this process all over again, which was terrifying. But I just didn't feel good about it anymore. And I felt in my heart that that's what needed to be done. And I remember my lawyer saying, are you sure about this? Because once you tell him you're out, there's no turning back. He can just walk away and, put the house back on the market and not want to deal with you anymore, because this was already such a process for both of us. And I said, you know what, I'm sure. And she, messaged she took the contract off the table, told the seller, we're backing out. And I remember that night I couldn't sleep because I just felt so oh my God, what did I do? And then a thing that I tend to do when I'm dealing with, when I'm feeling antsy or unsure about something, is I clean and I make my space like my surroundings, like more comfortable for myself. And so that's what I started to do. I started to clean the apartment, and I started moving things around, and all the stuff that was packed, I put it in a corner, and the stuff that wasn't packed, I made it look nice again, you know, like. And then I remember like cleaning the whole apartment and then sitting down, and I think it was like 4 a.m. at this point, sitting down on the couch in the living room and thinking, this apartment is so cute and we could stay here if we had to. Like, we're so lucky to have this place. And I started thinking about all the good things about it, you know, the rent being low, that we weren't, you know, tied down to it, that we could always, you know, move out. We don't have a mortgage payment. You know, just all the positive things that came with the apartment and just how lucky we were to have it. And then just feeling good in the space. And then I was able to rest assured that like everything was going to be okay, that even if we didn't get this house, like we were going to be fine and we were going to figure it out. And I knew like a house was in my future, just maybe it wasn't the right time. And then guys, no kidding, like next day, like the ball started rolling. You know, the seller got scared because he didn't want to put the house back on the market, and he started just agreeing to everything we wanted, and then everything started to fall into place. We closed on the house, and it's our house, and we love it. And every day that I will wake up in it, I'm just so grateful, and I can't believe that it finally happened. But I really just had to kind of surrender and like give it up and say like, okay, I don't need the house. Yes, I want it, but wow, like everything that I need, I already have. And